What's up, Inflewence here? Thank you for watching today. We have X-Transbots MX series Razor Ramon and Razor. This is their 4th Constructicon and it's great. It's a great figure. There are a couple things here and there. Also, I saw some people's pictures. I think Sony has some stuff going on with his. I'm not sure. In any case, I did see a couple things out there about this guy breaking, and QC issues aside, I have 0, so that is great for me. Feels like a great figure. I mean, it is a great figure. It feels good. I like it better than this guy, which we will compare him to. But I just think that's the design. That's the design. Like, I like the way his arms look. I like the way his chest look. His chest looks better. And I think the design just fits this character better. All right, so let's get it started.
Transformers reviews, tech and the news, whatever else I use as a muse. Hit subscribe, I appreciate the views. Influences interest on YouTube.
So accessories, we're here. Of course, X-Transbots. They do the accessory game crazy. So let's see his head sculpt first, so you can see. And I think this one is money. You get 2 extra faces that I don't think are money, just because of the expression. So you get this one. He looks like he's kissing. I don't know what that's about. I mean, it looks like he's kissing. Like, there's nothing else you can say. He might be making, in this one, I don't know what he's doing here. I believe he's trying to yell, but I don't like either of those faces, so they will not be going on here. I will keep the original face. He also comes with these other faces too, or other heads and faces. I believe this is the comic version. I assume, because it's blue. I do know the comics had like weird colors sometimes, like their faces. A few characters had like blue faces like this. I don't know where that's from. I didn't really collect the Marvel comics. I just got into IDW comics, so there's that. You have the arm pieces and the actual arm, which does feel light, but feels good. It feels pretty great. And I think there's a space in here where you can store all of the accessories, like the gun and those things. Subscribe. So I think that's great. I'm gonna have a bunch of combiner parts. You get his trumpet, of course. It's plastic, and he can only hold it in this hand, but he holds it, and you got a little butterfly, so you can get his arm up to it. That was just loose in the package, and it was apart. It was like this. It just comes apart. You get a card, of course. Cards. And you get a box. Typical X-Transbots box. Got some stuff back there. Of course, you have the gun. You can see he holds the gun well. Typical Masterpiece peg. Get that out. And you see, just all black. It does have like some speckle paint. Here's the figure. I already showed his face up close. So let's get some comparisons from the other guys. Back out a little bit so I can get them all into the shot. And yeah, I think they look good. X-Transbots is my robots. And I never thought that would be in my life, like in a choice between Fans Toys and X-Transbots. I pick X-Transbots as my robot modes. But yeah, that's the team. The team is shaping up. Shout out to Jonathan at TF Marauders. We had a discussion about would they be done within a year, or I think it was within a year. We was talking about X-Transbots and Fans Toys, and I said no, but I needed to give him his props. He said they would be, and I think they are going to be. I think they'll at least be done maybe in the beginning of 2026. which isn't that far away, but they may be done before the end of this year. We have 2 more. The speed that they're putting this out, it's obvious that they're putting everything into this set. Now, I like this. This is die cast. I'm not sure if you can tell. They are different colors. The paint on this, and maybe that's just because this is die cast and this is plastic. Maybe it's green plastic, or it could be painted plastic, but still plastic and die cast will have different colors. Like, you really have to get the colors right. I believe you have to probably mix them a little different to get them to look exactly right on 2 different materials. I'm not a paint expert, so I don't know, but I do like all of this detail right here. I like his legs. You do have to, which I didn't do last time I transformed him, you do have to put these down in order to get this knee, to use this knee. And I think that's it. I mean, the paint here is great. I do have a little blemish right here. I thought it was, and I still feel like it's just something on there, but it could be something baked on. I say baked on, I don't know their paint process, but I was trying to pull it off because I thought it was just like a black speckle or maybe paint from something else. And I'm scared to keep picking at it because it might just, maybe it is painted and it's just will rip off all the paint. So I'm just gonna leave it. It's not that bad to me. You won't even see it. Just mentioning it. So let's go through articulation. You got his head that goes up and goes down. Now, this peg right here, doing transformation, when you go back, you can put this peg underneath. This flap goes down a tad bit, and you can have this underneath this or on top of this. It doesn't matter. I like it on top because if it is underneath when you're manipulating the head, this panel falls down sometimes a little bit, and I don't like that. But you see his head gets 360. Like I said, goes up and down. Arm out. More than 90. 360 around. And I showed that joint here. That's nice. He has double jointed elbows, but you do have to, you know how you do. If you move the top first, then it's hard to get this, so you got to really move that first, and then you can move the top, and you see he gets the full run. That butterfly does move when you're trying to manipulate it. It's not the not the tightest, but it does have a peg. Maybe I just don't have it pegged in. No, it's just not the tightest joint. Where was I? Hands spin all the way around. You can move them back like that. Fingers, you have a ball joint, not a ball joint, you have a hinge right here. I'm not sure if that's pinned or friction. It's probably frictioned. And then you have pins, joints here and here. We'll see. That's a small joint right there, so hopefully nothing happens with the fingers. And then you have the fingers that are like this. They do have pins. They do have 2 knuckles, but the 2 knuckles are like in weird. They're really short and close together. I don't know. I don't like the hands as much, but it's their normal hands. A lot of times they use those hands. He has an ab crunch, a deep ab crunch, also used for transformation, but it's there. He has a waist swivel that goes all the way around. Skirts go up in the front. He has soft ratchets front and back. Actually, okay, yeah, it's still soft, but it makes more noise on this side for some reason. He can't go all the way back to get the hurdles, but it's enough. Not sure what else you could do. I've gotten him in the kneeling pose, like with the kneel in the one up, so that's cool. Side to side, again, he doesn't get the full splits, but I think it's good enough. He has a swivel right here for the thighs. Double jointed knees. Of course, you get the full knee, and I do like the knee joint that looks like the treads. That's great. I like that on the other one too. Feet, he gets a full rocker. He gets some toe tilt up and a little up, a lot down. He has these spurs here. Well, they're really just, this is the spur. This goes down, that's for transformation. But yeah, so you get up and down. So that's good, that's great. So transformation isn't insane. There is a few things that can get in the way, but like I said, it isn't insane. So first thing you want to do, I like to bend this arm, get the fingers right. I bend the thumb in. Well, I think that's how you're supposed to do it. I bend the thumb in like that, and you can bend this in so the knuckles out like that. Just do that on both sides. Make sure the thumb's all the way in though, like fold it in, and you're good. The index finger has a space for it to stay like this. You see this little space right here, this little thing? You want this lined up with that. And that's how you want the arm. Then you can get this out. I was just about to cut my nails, but I said no. So don't talk about me. Because I know I have a spudger, but I like to try. So you get that out a little bit. And then you have the arm bent because you want to get all this stuff out. Let me show it like this. Now you can see all this in here. When you're going back, you got to like kind of slide this in and get it right. It gets a little difficult going back, but it's not bad. So you just pull that out there, pull this out there, flip that out, and then you can flip this around here and flip this in. Make sure this thing didn't go all the way in. The arm will push it out. I mean, the hand will push it out. Make sure that thumb is like that, and you see how there's more than enough space in there for that. So then you straighten the arm back up, push it together, and you flip this out, and it pegs right there. Then you close that back, and you have that. You just leave it for now. Same thing over here, kind of the same thing. It does have a little different mechanism. Get this out here. Move that out a little bit, and you gotta bend the arm. You get all that out, get all that out. Move this, and then flip it around. Here you want to move that like this and flip that in, and there you go. It's going to stay down. I like to always tend to flip it back up, but then you can move this back down, push this. Like I said, you want this piece to line up with this piece. Flip that out. This thing comes off a lot, and flip that back. So now you have it here. So you take the front plate, just pull that out. Oh, sorry, this is die cast. Be careful, don't do that, because you might bang the paint off. I don't know, but you pull that out there and just leave it. Then you can pull this out of here, and you got these things now. Now you lift up, there's a peg here, peg here. On either side, it's pegged on, I believe, yeah. So that's pretty tight. So then you want to turn the head backwards, you can do that. And here, you're going to spin this flap around. But first, push this flap down so you can spin it around. Once you spin it around, then it'll come up because it becomes a seat. These things on the side, you want to push this in, and then flip these around like that. Now you're starting to see all of this stuff, and you want to use the waist bend, and you want to bend that down. Bend that waist down, and you can also, well, you don't have to do it now, but it's going to eventually, the waist is going to move back. You bend that down, you want to pull these things out here. So then you can have all the room in here to maneuver all of this. And now you pull this out of here like this. and get this bent down like that, and then this curls around these two gaps, and this thing is going to curl around this thing right here, this bar. So that's where you want it. Eventually it does sit a little better. You can kind of do it like that. Try to get it as good as possible. At the same time, you're turning this like this. So this is how it's going to go. And again, just try to push it as far as it can possibly go. I don't know if you saw that, but that's where it is. And then all this stuff kind of takes care, or will take care of itself. You don't have to worry about this too much right now, but you can. So you can move this out. It's on a spinner, so you want to spin that like that. Then you have this will be like this, and then you want to pull this all the way out. It's on a double hinge. Pull this down. There's two tabs that tab in. You just forming the bucket. Try to tab it in at the same time. Cause a little trouble if you don't. Then you push that up. Then you kind of put it together as much as possible, and you have that where you want it. Move this back a little bit because I forgot. You gotta put the head down first before you do this. Put this piece up right here. Not a lot of room in there, but I can get it in there, and then you can push this down as tight as possible. Sorry about that one. But this forms like the little console here. And if this, when I first did this, right here was down. It was down because I didn't have this as compact as I needed. This is like the steering. So you want it in tune with the seat as if somebody's sitting there. So if you get it like that, you should be good. And that's where you have it. This slides up and down. It usually does it by itself, but you can slide it down. And now these arms. The arms are a little tricky, but you can tell this stuff is going to be in the front. This stuff is eventually going to bend like that and form the front, as you can see. And this peg is going to peg in right there. But you can see how, oh, I got to spin this all over the place. So you move this forward, you pull it out of that peg, and then you move this up, and you're moving it as much as possible. And as you're pushing it in, then it goes in. If you have all this stuff right, you see how easy that was? It went in very easy, and then there's the peg there. And you can just, it kind of just slots there. It doesn't, and this peg, there's a peg on the end of this right here that goes into a spot here. I know you can't see that. It's hard. It's probably out of focus because of the other stuff being in front of the camera. So you kind of move all that at the same time. And you can, underneath, you can get it and slide it together where it should be. There we go. It wasn't in that tab all the way. And you have one arm done. Same thing over here. Show it a little quicker, a little easier maybe. Move that up there. Goes in there. Again, if you're having trouble with these arms, you see how it moves, but it's not hard. But if you're having trouble getting these arms in the right spot, this stuff might not be where it needs to be. As I already said, you got to look at the console. If the console is right where that is, you have all this stuff compacted correctly. So there's also pegs here, so make sure they line up. I wasn't paying attention. I was just trying to get this peg. There you go. That peg. This is all lined up great. And underneath, you can line this up if you got it in the right spot. So then this stuff here, you want to collapse this around. There's a hole right here that fits this bar right there. So then you want to move this up, and you got to collapse this a little bit, but not enough to peg yet, because you want to get that together. And now you can peg it and peg this. Tricky part is, yeah, these pegs right on the outside, there we go, and then underneath that pegged automatically, kind of got that. And home stretch. Now the waist, you pull that out. You want to get this situated. Flip the knee, the back of the knee up, back of the knee up. Make sure the knee is straight, or it won't, this knee ain't straight, or it won't go right. So you have that. Now you have enough space because you pull these apart. Just flip this up. You can move this and move this like this, and then this goes down. There's a peg right here that there's a peg hole on the side of the top of the foot, and you can kind of get that in. That's the hole, that's the peg that keeps this more together. Do the same over here. Move that down and make sure this is lined up with that peg right there, and then just push it together. Now there's a peg in there that you can peg this together. This stuff might get out of whack for a while, but it's okay. Then you pull these skirts up. Oh, you know what? Move these two. These little like half moon type pieces, they just sit right there. And then you can move these skirts all the way up flat as possible, and then move this up, and it pegs. There's two pegs. One's for combine mode and one's for this mode, I believe. But to me, it's the front peg, because it makes the most sense as far as, I couldn't really tell in the directions, but it makes the most sense for proportions. And then this goes up here, and there's two pegs on here that peg into the back of this. You just peg that in there. I don't know how good those pegs. Oh yeah, they peg all right. They're pretty good pegs. And here we are, alt mode. Easy peasy. This transformation was really easy to me. I know up in here can get complicated, just trying to get these arms back. But like I said, pro tip, just make sure that this I said it like 4 times. Just make sure this console is where you would want it to be if you were a human. And that kind of takes care of everything else during the transformation. So it does roll. Doesn't have real treads, but it does have 2 roller wheels, which is great because it works really well. This moves on a ratchet, so you can, it moves in and out too. I'm not sure what's the best. I think in, because it this piece falls down quite often, but out it just looks weird because of that peg. I like to have it in, but then you can, oh, that's why it falls down. When you move it like that, it'll fall down. Yeah, you got a little seat, you got a little smokestacks. Like I said, this one comes off all the time. I don't know why that's not glued. Not gonna hurt anything. Side swipe here for comparison. You can see that. You can compare this guy in vehicle mode, even though it's not the same character. You can kind of see how big he is compared to this guy. I like this. I like the alt mode. It does have little things like right here that kind of make it seem unfinished. It's not as clean as some of their alt modes, but I do like it. It's a construction vehicle. The color here, you can kind of see the difference, but it doesn't bother me terribly. It's a pretty good, pretty straightforward offering from X-Transbots. And I will go to combine mode when we get all of them. Of course, you know how I do that. I combine them. I'll show you how to combine them and then combine them in one video. That's it for this review. If you enjoyed it, leave me a thumbs up, subscribe, share, and all that good stuff for my YouTube algorithm. I know y'all get tired of hearing that. I get tired of saying it, but I will get up with you in a next review. I just paid for tracks, so we'll see. Peace.
You know, life ain't no, life ain't no, life ain't no. As long as you alive, you can give another try and take it real high if you want.